Hello there, Star Wars fans. Today, with the help of the community, we answer the question, what if Ahsoka had contacted Anakin when Obi-Wan asked her to during the Phantom Apprentice episode? And other related questions such as how much would Anakin have told Ahsoka about Palpatine, and ultimately, could Ahsoka have stopped Anakin from falling to the dark side? As whenever I put out a question to the community, you guys come through with some amazing answers, so let's get right into them. We're going to start with Harley Moore, and they state, perhaps at the time she could have saved him, but in Rebels she couldn't bring him back, so I don't know. And absolutely, Harley, this is a difficult prediction. Is Ahsoka the one that could prevent Anakin from falling to the dark side? Well, certainly Palpatine thought there was a chance, that's why he ended up framing Ahsoka and driving her out of the Jedi Order. And another interesting point here is that Ahsoka really doesn't try and turn Anakin Skywalker back from the dark side to the light side when they meet in Rebels. She's very confrontational, and it seems like she doesn't even comprehend that that can happen. It's only Luke's love for his father much later in the timeline that allows him to see that possibility. So thanks for that comment, Harley. Let's move on to Lucky, and they stated in the comments, maybe she could have talked him into leaving the Order to be with Padme and actually fulfilling his destiny to bring balance and becoming the most powerful Grey Jedi ever. And I really like this angle, the idea of getting Anakin to leave the Jedi Order and be with Padme. That's an interesting thought. Certainly if Ahsoka and Padme had teamed up and asked Anakin to do that, it would have been an interesting moment. Whether he would have actually done it is a totally different thing. Thanks for that, Lucky. Let's move on now to our number one like comment, and that's by Dinjarin, and he states, I suspect Ahsoka may have been able to intervene in the plot to get Anakin to the dark side, but since it was Chancellor Palpatine's plan to frame Ahsoka for murder in the first place, I see why she couldn't be there to have any chance. She was just simply out of the way, so in that regard, his plan worked. Palpatine knew how important Ahsoka was to Anakin, so I can see his motives to get her out of the picture. The question is then, what if she decided to come back to the Order when she was acquitted? Would she then be in a position to prevent it? Maybe. Also, if Ahsoka would have had some idea that Anakin feared for Padme, she might have been able to intervene in that too, thus being the only person who could alter the course that Anakin took to supposedly save Padme. But he couldn't tell Ahsoka because by then she was already a citizen and off on her own. Things would have been much different if Ahsoka would have been around. And great ideas as always, Dinjarin. I really like the idea of if Ahsoka knew that Anakin feared for Padme, then she could have intervened there. She could have helped Anakin overcome that fear. And you might be thinking that it's not the role of an apprentice to help overcome fear, but at this point they're so close, they're family. So I believe ultimately she could have definitely helped Anakin overcome that fear and maybe even help prevent him fall to the dark side. But let's move on to another quick comment here which heads in a different direction, and that is by Paul Edwards. He states, in my opinion, only Qui-Gon could have changed Anakin's path. Darth Maul killing him was everything. And Paul, this definitely seems to be true, especially from what we've heard recently from Dave Filoni. Qui-Gon was the key to all of this. If he was the one to train Anakin, then it would have been much different. He was the father that Anakin needed. But that said, Dave Filoni has also mentioned that there are very big similarities between Qui-Gon and Ahsoka. They are two individuals who could see the flaws in the Clone Wars era Jedi Council. That said, thanks Paul Edwards. Let's move on to Caesar Hug C. And they state in the comments, based on the character development of Anakin during Revenge of the Sith, I am not completely sure that Ahsoka alone would have been able to keep Anakin from falling to the dark side. I think that Anakin was locked in the notion that Palpatine would have been able to save Padme, and for him at that point, it was his main focus. However, I think that if Ahsoka and Obi-Wan tag teamed Anakin, they perhaps would have been able to talk some sense into him. Anakin was not devoid of reason, so it's not a far-fetched idea he would be reasoned with. Similarly to Ezra's arc during Rebels, he was starting to dabble into the dark side, and it was thanks to the help of all of his friends and mentor that he was able to overcome the dark side. In this case, I think Anakin was left alone in his thoughts and his feelings, and without anyone to talk him through it or help him reason. His feelings got the best of him. I think if both Ahsoka and Obi-Wan and other people close to Anakin had spent just a bit more time talking to him, I think they would have been able to save him from the dark side. And absolutely, Caesar Hugs C. If we compare and contrast Ezra and Anakin Skywalker, that is ultimately the difference. And those are the words from Dave Filoni. Ezra has the support of his family, and that is what saves him from the dark side. And ultimately, when we see Anakin come back to the light side, it's because of family. Luke Skywalker, his son, is able to turn him back. We see the same thing with Ben Solo. So thanks for that great comment, Caesar Hugs C. Let's move on to Revenge, or Revenge, however you want to read it. And they state in the comments, I honestly think Ahsoka couldn't have saved him from becoming Vader. Instead, he may have accused her of not understanding or taking Obi-Wan's side on the matter. The relationship might have deteriorated, at least on Anakin's side, because of his refusal to listen to her reason. At this point, I feel Anakin is too far gone. Also, I don't think Ahsoka could have made it to Coruscant in time had she decided to go back. Order 66 would have happened en route regardless. And that's a great point I hadn't really thought of. If she had chosen to head back to Coruscant, Ahsoka might have been killed anyway. It's not like there's a lot of time between when Obi-Wan requests that she contacts Anakin and Order 66 actually happens. But let's move on now to Super Triton. He says, oh boy, this is a hard question. I did not think she would have ditched the mission. That would screw the clones when it comes to fighting Maul. We know she has a deep respect and even some love for those clones. Anakin would likely keep the stuff Palpatine said to himself. Anakin knew Ahsoka wasn't the power-hungry kind of Jedi, and that she wouldn't be supportive of his ambitious plans, and that she would probably try to talk him out of it. She would have been unsupportive in a very respectful manner. Ahsoka probably wouldn't have contacted Padme. I think Ahsoka knew about their relationship and didn't want to meddle in it, as it was not really her business. If Ahsoka was on Coruscant, she probably could have kept Anakin in a level-headed state, allowing Obi-Wan and herself more time to solve the Sith Lord stuff. And that's a really cool thought, Super Triton. Ahsoka and Obi-Wan on Coruscant trying to track down this elusive Sith Lord. That is a really cool what-if scenario and would truly make for a great story. And hey, I really also like your point about Ahsoka not contacting Padme when it comes to Anakin. Now, Ahsoka and Padme did have a good relationship, but I think you're absolutely right. There is a chance that she wouldn't have contacted Padme. And up next here we have Medieval Man 9, and he says in the comments, honestly, I think at this point Anakin was too far gone. The dreams, the subtle manipulations of Palpatine, and the glaring problems of the Jedi Order, especially the Council, had already pushed him to the edge and he was teetering. The events of Mace and other masters confronting Palpatine was nothing more than a final nudge that made him go over. I'm going to say that her not talking to him was actually the only thing that saved her from falling. Remember, she had failed her test. She was going to join Maul. The only thing that saved her was the fact that she refused to believe what was an actual truth, because she refused to believe that Anakin could ever join the dark side. Had she managed to talk to him, then she would have had nothing to rely on to ultimately reject Maul's offer. Even if she wouldn't have seen that he had or was about to fall, she would have had a lingering doubt in her mind, because she would have known that something was very, very wrong with him. And that would have been all that would be needed for her to take Maul's hand and escape Mandalore with him. And thanks for that, Medieval Man 9. Absolutely, I think that would make for a great what if question as well for another community tab question. What if Ahsoka actually took Maul's hand? What if they joined forces and tried to take down Palpatine? Would they have been caught by Order 66 before they actually got to Palpatine? And I really like your point about how Ahsoka did fail her test, and she was very close to taking the path of the dark side with Maul himself. Great ideas as always, Medieval Man 9, and ultimately contacting Anakin wasn't Ahsoka's destiny, but it certainly is interesting to think what could have happened if she did. And Ahsoka's faith in Anakin during the Siege of Mandalore story, well, it's one of the many contributing factors to why this story is so tragic and so good. She believed in her master like a good Padawan should, and unfortunately he let her and everyone else down. But hey, Star Wars fans, this is just a bit of speculation, shouldn't be taken too seriously. As always, use the Force within you to make the Star Wars community a better place. Share your thoughts and ideas, and encourage those who do the same. As always, I'm Mike, and I want to say a big thanks for watching right to the end of the video. There's really nothing better you can do to support the channel. So may the Force be with you.